All right, let's jump straight into this explainer. Today, we're unpacking the hidden psychological forces that shaped who you are right now, probably without you ever even knowing it was happening. We're going to systematically break down the psychology of the narcissistic mother. We're looking closely at how a developing identity, your self-worth, and your lifelong emotional patterns are basically molded in the shadows. This is all about finally putting a name to something you've likely always felt in your gut, but maybe never fully understood.
We're starting right at the absolute core with this pretty devastating truth. She never said I love you without a condition attached. You just never recognized the condition. Naming this unseen condition is the absolute first step toward real, liberating recognition. It's really the shocking hook of our entire exploration today. Because the hardest part of this dynamic isn't just the pain. It's the profound confusion. It's that jarring moment of realization when you look back at your childhood and suddenly realize the love you received was never actually unconditional.
Let's move to Section 1, the condition of love and the illusion of unconditional affection. So, what happens when affection and approval are treated like a prize you have to earn? Well, when it's granted only after meeting specific demands, it effectively silences a child's true self. If a narcissistic mother operates this way, your brain instantly learns that love is a transaction. It's just not a given. And this isn't usually explicitly stated, it's learned through raw experience. It's bringing home a report card with a single B and watching the warmth just instantly drain from her face. Or maybe it's expressing normal sadness or anger and being told you're ruining the entire day, only getting a hug when you slap on a happy face. Your developing neurology adapts to this. You learn pretty quickly that your inherent existence just isn't enough. Your authentic self? That's dangerous to your survival, because only the compliant, perfectly performing version of you actually gets rewarded with affection.
Okay, Section 2, the mother's emotional mirror, and exactly why you had to shrink to survive.
Here is the really crucial point. Your identity was never actually your own. You were effectively an emotional mirror, utilized solely to regulate your mother's self-esteem. You weren't allowed to be a separate, individual kid with your own messy, evolving needs. You were an extension of her. If she needed to feel like the perfect parent to the outside world, well, you had to perform flawlessly in public as the trophy child. If she needed to feel like a martyr, guess what? You were cast as the ungrateful problem. Your entire purpose and the psychological ecosystem of your house was just to reflect back exactly what she needed to see to feel secure about herself.
And the natural consequence of having to be this mirror, you had to shrink yourself just to earn your place. To survive this environment and scrape together even a tiny fraction of approval, you systematically suppressed your own needs, your opinions, your whole personality. If you grew too big, too loud, or too independent, you threatened her self-image. You shattered the mirror. So you learned to make yourself incredibly small. You figured out that being invisible, hypervigilant, or just perfectly compliant was literally the safest way to navigate your daily life.
Which brings us to Section 3, tactics of hidden control, and the invisible arsenal used against you.
How exactly did she maintain this illusion and keep you shrinking without you even realizing it? Well, there were 4 specific weapons that kept you completely off balance. First up, weaponized guilt, making you feel entirely responsible for her emotions. If she was upset, a heavy sigh or a passive-aggressive comment made sure you knew it was your fault. Second is constant comparison, pitting you against siblings or other kids so you never ever felt secure. Third, emotional withdrawal. This is a big one, the terrifying cold shoulder. Pulling love away the second you step out of line sends a child's nervous system into absolute fight or flight mode. And finally, rewriting reality, gaslighting you into doubting your own memory of events. Make no mistake, these aren't just bad parenting moments. They are highly effective, systematic tools of control.
There's a really tragic contrast here between her actions and what you internalized. When she distorted facts or went totally cold on you, your developing brain couldn't rationally say, "Oh, my mother has a severe lack of emotional regulation." No. To make sense of the chaos, your brain internalized the blame. You actually believed you were the broken one. You took on this deep, lingering belief that you were crazy, that your memories couldn't be trusted, and fundamentally that you were just inherently unlovable.
Now, as an adult, you might wonder, why didn't I see the trap? Why didn't I fight back? The honest truth? You never questioned it, because it was your entire world. A child simply cannot question the water they're swimming in. You had absolutely zero baseline for what a healthy, unconditionally loving dynamic even looked like. Her reality was the only reality you knew, so your loyalty to her was absolute, even while it was actively harming you.
Let's fast forward a bit. Section 4, the adult consequences and how childhood survival becomes adult suffering.
What happens when the child who had to shrink finally grows up? Well, because your reality was constantly overwritten with tactics like gaslighting,
The first major consequence is a paralyzing lack of self-trust. It is a profound inability to trust your own perception. When you're taught early on that your feelings are wrong and your needs are a burden, you carry that deep self-doubt straight into adulthood. You second-guess every decision, every instinct, and every boundary, terrified that you're somehow always the one making the mistake.
On top of that, since your worth was always decided externally by how well you played the mirror, you're left with a compulsive, exhausting need for external validation. You fundamentally believe your value is a transaction, so you overdeliver at work, you people-please in your friendships, and you constantly abandon your own needs just to hear someone say, "Good job." Why? Because that was literally the only way you survived your childhood.
And this perfectly explains why you probably find yourself repeating the exact same painful patterns in relationships. Why do we do this to ourselves? Because the human brain actually seeks out the familiar, even if the familiar is profoundly painful. If conditional love is all you've ever known, you will subconsciously seek out partners, friends, or bosses who demand you shrink for them. To your deeply conditioned nervous system, that kind of chaos just feels like home.
This brings us to our final layer, Section 5, Mourning a Living Mother, the ultimate painful realization. This quote really captures the absolute hardest part of this entire journey, the profound grief of mourning a mother who is still physically alive but was never really there. It's an incredibly unique, complex kind of grief. You aren't just mourning the loss of a relationship, you are mourning the illusion itself. You are grieving the mother you so desperately needed, the mother you thought you had, who in reality never actually existed. It's a very lonely, silent grief, but acknowledging it, that's the only real way out of the cycle.
So, I want to leave you with this provocative question to think about. What happens when you finally stop shrinking? What happens when you recognize those unseen conditions placed upon you, stop trying to fix the mirror, and just step away? My hope is that naming this pain today and really unpacking this dark psychology finally brings you a profound sense of liberation. You're not crazy. You were just shaped in the dark.
If this explainer helped validate your experience and made you feel a little more seen in your confusion and your pain, make sure to hit subscribe to Dark Archive as we continue to analyze and expose these hidden realities together. The archive remains open. Thanks for learning with us today.